And now, a board game review from me, Joe Sallen.
You're watching the Sallen Coefficient, a new and nuanced approach to board game reviewing by a core gamer for core gamers. Ever wondered what they mean when they say fun, or good, or bad, or awesome? At the Sallen Coefficient, I will tell you more to help you make up your mind about whether or not a game is worth your time.
Sponsored by Game Surplus, bringing the world of board games to you at GameSurplus.com.
Hello and welcome to the Sallen Coefficient. I'm Joe Sallen, and this video review series is to help you decide whether or not a game is a wise investment of your time. So I'm going to tell you the Sallen Coefficient of the game, which is kind of like a second rating that I give that's trying to separate the things out from a game that I feel are ones that don't apply to, wouldn't be widely applicable to gamers. And then I give you that rating, and then I tell you what my own personal rating is on the game, and try to maybe give a little bit of a difference, an explanation as to why they are the same or why they are different. So, Sallen Coefficient is the idea of the positive things that I'm looking for in a gaming experience, contrasted with the negative things, and I'll let you know what that is for this specific game, which is actually the third in a series of small deck games in which you are working your way through a single deck that is meant to mimic a type of escape room experience. This game is called Deckscape, and this is the third one, the Heist in Venice. So the Deckscape series, to place it among escape room experiences in board game form, is one of the, I would say, the best entry-level places to get into the escape room in a box, escape room in a deck systems. It is one where you literally just open up the box, there's a deck of cards that are ordered, and you just start reading from the very top. Like, there's no rule book, there's no nothing, it's just like a deck of cards that will walk you through the entire experience. Puzzles in this game are very clearly delineated. They'll be on the front of a card, you'll have a puzzle, and there's like somewhere around 30 puzzles in this game, so 30 unique puzzles. And what you'll do is you'll just come up with the answer, and then sort of have, if you're playing with other people, have a consensus as to whether or not, to what that answer is, and then you flip the card over, and the solution's right there, right in your face. So, like, this is one of those games where you're going to be able to continue to make progress regardless. Now, if you enjoy escape room games, and I do consider myself very much an escape room game aficionado, what's nice about this is that you never get those moments when you're, like, really stuck. Now, you might find out that you were wrong about something and that you didn't think about it enough, and that's very common for me. But all you do is just give yourself like a bad mark that you're supposed to draw X's, and then it'll essentially add up to you're trying to get your time in as little as possible, and then every check mark that you have at the end of the game, every X that you have, will add time on to your ultimate score. So really, like, it's one of the most simple systems, and it's one that, like, no matter how good you feel like you are at puzzles, you're going to be able to make it through this game, and you're not going to have any problem that way. So if you're one of those people that stayed away from escape room type experiences, that stayed away from, like, the first-person adventure games, point-and-click adventures, where because you feel like you just get lost and you can't make any progress, this might be the type of system for you. So that's like overall Deckscape to me is it's like my favorite. When I get one of these, I want to play it with folks that I know that are non-gamers. That's I think it's most ideal in a situation like I love playing this game with my parents. I have students at school. We have a game group, and it's just like I don't even have to teach anything. It's just we put the deck out there, and it's like just do what it says. It'll tell you exactly how to play the game, and that is just such a smooth experience. You don't need any app, you don't need anything else, and by the time that you are done, it's super easy to put back away. There is one card that you can take your score on, it's kind of a scorecard, but you don't even really need to use that, and I've never actually written on any components in the game. You can just write on your own scratch paper. So really, like, they give you a card to write on and tell you to write on it, but you can just use scratch paper, and I think they know a lot of people will do that so that they don't destroy the game. So it's playable after you've done it once. It's very easy to get into, and in my opinion, it makes it the best entry point for the escape room type experiences. If you look for something more elaborate, the Deckscape series does include some interesting locations, and it does use the format of being a deck of cards, which has artwork, to be able to sort of burst out of the physical confines of an escape room. But I find that it tends to be one of those it's such a simple system, and it works so easily and effortlessly and smoothly and just like a well-oiled machine that to a certain extent I don't feel the same like sort of huge bells and huge whistles. Though the puzzle design is top-notch and has many different types of puzzles in it. It has, and I think what I've noticed in my experience with Deckscape is that it tries to give you different intervals at the game in which there are multiple puzzles that you need to solve before you can move on. And so if you've got 4 people playing, each of you can sort of be looking at one puzzle card and trying to figure out what it is, which I really appreciate that they're trying to involve other, like, you working with other players, and that way you don't just have one person who's solving all the puzzles while everybody else is just kind of sitting there idle. So I think that design-wise, as an experience, the Deckscape is very conscientious of what they're looking to do, which is to engage as many players as possible in the activity that you're doing. In this specific one, I've had to dance around. I can't give you any spoilers here. I really can't do it. But in this specific one, let's just say that they've pushed it even a step further to give players, players a reason to exist in the larger group, to make your experience here sort of unique to all other players at the table. And that's as much as I can say. I hope I haven't spoiled anything, but just to say, like, mechanically, what they have done is to try to give you more of a reason for each player to need to be engaged at each step of the system. Because the worst thing you can end up with in the escape room type games is when you have one person that solves like 4 puzzles in a row and everybody else is standing around looking around like, so what are we supposed to do? And I think that Deckscape looks to solve those problems. So definitely the design of this is very conscientious of the types of pitfalls that you can see in escape room style games. It's tough to give a Sallen Coefficient to a game that you play it, you consume it, and then that's it. It's over. And especially when you've got so many different types of games that are like that. I mean, the actual entertainment that I get from this, though, I'm able to compare to actual escape rooms I've done in the past, which in many ways are inferior to the experience I get from one of these games. I've played physical escape rooms and paid, first of all, they're super expensive. Secondly, a lot of times you'll have like different manipulative pieces, and those pieces will be just really worn down in escape rooms because you're like the 77th group to have gone through in the last 2 weeks, and it's been around for 2 years. So it's like you'll have like a map that you need to put pins on, and that map will be like just chewed away at all the places where you're supposed to put them. You can almost just stand back, look at the map, and see, okay, well that, because the manipulatives have been so worn. And I know some of that's like a maintenance upkeep thing, but I think that's also just part of having a physical room that makes it different. Whereas in Deckscape, everything's going to be just like right there out of the box, super easy to get into. A variety of different puzzles, ones many of which involve your like looking, like you're actually visually having to sort of parse apart a whole bunch of things in a room, and some of those will be like, I would say, good for younger players, because it's almost like identify which one doesn't belong type puzzles. And so you've got ones in here that do engage younger players, but then there are also many puzzles which require you to work together with other players and think outside of the box. And I played the first half of this. We did really well, and we didn't even have a single X. And I was like, man, usually by now we've gotten an X or so. And we were getting to like the bottom third of the deck and still hadn't really run into any X's. And then, oh man, did it turn on. The difficulty definitely did get there in this game, at least for me and for my group. And it's good. I want to feel like you're never, like the way that I want to feel at the end of an escape room thing is, you got me this time, but you're never going to be able to pull that one over on me again. So, and I think that Deckscape Heist in Venice really captured that. As I said before, it's tough to give an actual rating because it is a consumable, but I'm going to say that this Deckscape system in general, because of how easy it is to get into it and how little you need, you don't need any sort of an app, you don't need any sort of scissors, and you don't have to destroy any components. I'm going to say that this is, in my opinion, the Sallen Coefficient is the highest for Deckscape than it is for any of the other escape room systems, and for that reason, it's by itself, if you like this type of a game, going to be an 8 on the scale. My personal views towards Deckscape are, I really do enjoy them, but I'm going to say that the specific thematic content of this one, I'm talking specifically about the Heist in Venice, was, it was interesting, but it wasn't, let's say that, it was a weird mixture of being, and it does say this on the back, you're looting the oldest casino in the world, and for some reason, like, for me, I had a hard time reconciling the idea, like, I wanted it to be more like Venice and have more like classical Renaissance art, and it's kind of more like you're in a casino, and the casino is, you know, like a very industrial feeling building, and I just would say that, like, I was wanting it to be a little bit more pretty and a little bit more of a using the setting of Venice a little bit better, whereas I feel like this could have been Las Vegas, and I would have probably been just fine with it. They could have been like the Little Venetian or whatever, but the when it came down to this specific one for me, it was a 7. In my personal opinion, and that was just because I was wanting something different from the theme than what it was delivering. But like I said, that's my personal opinion. The Sallen Coefficient for Deckscape, for all the Deckscape games, is an 8 out of 10, just because I think that it's a little bit better. As a system, I can recommend it more easily for newer players to get into this. And it's also just, it's one of those where you can play it and then you can like move it on to a friend or sell it to somebody. And it's just a nice, like, to me, it's a very conscientious system of escape rooms as well. So that is the Sallen Coefficient, as well as my personal rating for Deckscape, specifically the Heist in Venice scenario, the most recent one. And I'm Joe Sallen. This is the Sallen Coefficient. I hope that you've enjoyed this video review, and we'll catch me on the next one.
Check out more from Joe right here on the YouTube page for The Good, the Bored, and the Ugly under the playlist, The Sallen Coefficient. Also, find podcast episodes of The Good, the Bored, and the Ugly releasing weekly and tackling topics as well as reviewing and hyping games from many different perspectives. Also, the Longview podcast is hosted by Joe, and it covers one game for 1 to 2 hours. Find those audio programs on iTunes.